everyone, and welcome back to Homeschool and Chill. My name is Corinne, and today is Flashback Friday. For those of you who may not know, I have another YouTube channel called The Imperfectionist. And on this channel, I usually just talk about my everyday life and I give some advice and just pretty much give some motivation and encouragement so that we can see the beauty in this imperfect thing called life. And over the course of time, while making videos, I ended up making a few homeschool videos. And after doing that, I really noticed that a lot of people started asking me for advice about homeschooling and asking me questions. And so that's when Homeschool and Chill was born, so that my subscribers would not have to necessarily navigate through a lot of different videos just to get to the homeschool videos that they were seeking. So I'm going to start using Flashback Fridays to gradually move my old homeschool videos over to this channel so that my new subscribers here will be able to have access to that information easily as well. So if you are not subscribed to my Imperfectionist page, then go ahead and do that. I'll have the link to that page down in the description for you so that you can go and subscribe to that page as well. But I just wanted to let you know that little by little on Fridays, I'm going to move some of those homeschool videos over here so that anyone who is specifically seeking videos about homeschooling, they will easily be able to find all of that information in one location. I'm going to go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is the top 5 mistakes that beginner homeschoolers make. When I first started homeschooling my girls, there were lots of mistakes that I made, and there's still mistakes that I made. So I wanted to share my top 5 beginner homeschool mistakes with you and see if maybe that can help you guys out at the beginning of your homeschool journey. And so you may or may not know about this term called deschooling. A really brief definition is that you take the time before you start with the actual curriculum or start teaching academic things, that you take the time to learn more about your children. You just spend quality time to build a bond with one another. You get to learn what your child's learning style is, whether they learn from reading, whether they learn audibly, or whether they learn from doing kinesthetic things, hands-on activities, and find out what your child's interests are. Are they interested in butterflies or rainbows or dinosaurs or technology? All of those different things where you're basically getting out of the mold of the traditional classroom setting. Because homeschooling is very different than learning in a classroom. The things that work in a traditional classroom setting are not necessarily going to work with your child at home. At home, it's just you and your children, and you can focus more on them one-on-one and be able to give them a tailor-made education where they can work at their own pace. So you don't want to replicate what's going on in school. You want to create a new learning environment at home. If you don't deschool, sometimes there's issues with your children not adjusting well. And in my case, my girls have never been to a traditional school. They've never been to daycare, so they don't know really how traditional school works. I need to deschool for myself because I have been traditionally schooled and I thought that school should function a certain way. And I noticed immediately when I started teaching my oldest girl, when she first started kindergarten, I noticed a shift in her enthusiasm. I noticed that we started to struggle, have power struggles more because I changed the way I was teaching. When she was just a little preschooler and I was just making sure she knew her alphabet and things like that, we always played games, we sung songs and just did a lot of fun stuff. And then when I had to be official for kindergarten, I changed the way I was teaching her and it was garbage. It was basically garbage. So I realized that I needed to go back to the basics of how I was teaching her before because that's what works in a homeschool setting. Everyone hears the term homeschool and they think that it's school at home, but they leave out the home part a lot. The most important part of homeschooling is the home aspect, that your child has the love and the nurturing of a home environment while they're learning. One of the number one questions that I always hear homeschool parents ask is, what curriculum do you use? Or what's a good curriculum? And there is no correct answer for that. It really all depends on your child and it all depends on your learning environment or the way that you can convey certain ideas to your children. A curriculum that may work phenomenally for Susie and her son may be just trash for you and your child. So you can't just decide to pick a curriculum because it may work best for, someone else. Something that's important when you do select a curriculum is to learn about your child's learning style, how they best learn, or how you function as a family, and then selecting a curriculum that meets those guidelines. Even when you do select a good curriculum, it's really important to realize that a curriculum is a guide and it's not like a rule that you have to follow. You don't have to follow every single lesson every day and do everything exactly the way that it was planned out by somebody else. Even teachers in school, who we give all of these accolades and acknowledgement to, they do not follow every single lesson of a curriculum. Most teachers don't even finish a curriculum by the end of the school year. So keep that in mind. I made homeschooling way too complicated because I was trying to follow every single lesson and do everything that it was saying to do. And I noticed that it got especially hard this school year when my second oldest started kindergarten and I had a first grader. Now I have two girls who are at two completely different levels of learning. One who is just learning how to read and one who is a beginning reader and who's trying to start reading independently. And I noticed it was really hard to try to do one set of lessons with one child and another set of lessons with another child, and I was starting to freak out because it was just too much to accomplish in one day and keep a 3-year-old under control while I was doing all of this. So what I ended up having to do is kind of move away from the curriculum that I had and make things more simplified and do a lot of lessons together. And we kind of have like the old school type schoolhouse setup where we do some lessons all together. Like they all have to practice letter sounds. They all have to practice their handwriting. They all have to practice number concepts. The only difference is I might give Jaslyn something a little more challenging because she's in first grade, and I do things a little more simply with my other two because they're not. And even as far as grades go, I should have said this in the last point that a lot of homeschool parents don't assign their children a grade. The only time that your child's grade level matters is if you are purchasing a curriculum and you want to kind of know what level to purchase for your child or what might work for your child's age. But the awesome thing about homeschooling is that you are tailoring your child's education to them specifically. In a traditional classroom setting, your child will have to learn these certain objectives because that is what was chosen for this grade level. So if your child is more advanced, they really don't get challenged. And if your child is kind of behind, then they're just going to get some low grades. With homeschooling, you can have a child who's doing third grade reading and who's doing first grade math. So your child's not really assigned to a grade. It's really about your child learning at their pace and actually mastering certain concepts before you move them on to something else. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with homeschooling, or at least it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with homeschooling, but it's really difficult when you're a housewife and you work from home, like in my case, and you're homeschooling and you're trying to keep your house neat and clean and tidy and all of that. And I would obsess about the house being clean because before I started officially homeschooling, I had certain chores that I did each day of the week. There were some things that I did every single day, like wash the dishes, sweep the floor, kind of tidy up. And then there were certain chores that were assigned to specific days, like mopping the floors was on a certain day, dusting was on a certain day. And I started to realize that it was getting to be too much to have, like, to work in the morning, to teach my girls, later in the morning through to the afternoon. And then I have chores and dinner and all this kind of stuff to do the rest of the day. And so I realized that I had to stop being obsessive about my house being clean. I still tidy up and do things like the dishes and sweeping and tidying up every day. But all those things like cleaning the bathroom, dusting, mopping, all of those bigger chores, I just saved for the end of the week. That way I can just get it all done in one day and I'm not stressing about having to get so many things done throughout the week. I can only focus on homeschooling. I was focused so much on making sure that I checked off everything academically for my children to learn. And like I said, I was obsessed with following the curriculum that I was zapping the fun out of homeschooling. I was making sure that my girls did, X amount of worksheets during the day, that they were learning this many math facts, or they were learning their phonics and all of this. And it wasn't really fun. I was so keen on getting results that I wasn't getting them. Children learn best through play, especially if your children are small. My girls are 6, 5, and 3, and they learn the most when they're just having fun and when they're just genuinely interested in whatever it is that they're learning. A prime example of your child being interested in what they're doing and not interested in what they're doing is this assignment that I gave my daughter, Jaslyn. I told her to write about something that she likes. It was very vague, and she wasn't even interested in writing at the time. And so then she wrote this. She wrote this. I love, and this is a 6-year-old's version of Vaseline. There happened to be a container of Vaseline on the counter when she was writing. And why is the Vaseline crying? This is the container of Vaseline, and he's crying. You don't know, my oldest daughter, who's 6 years old, she wants to be a baker when she grows up and own her own bakery. So I gave her an assignment asking her what she wants to be when she grows up and tell me why she wants to be that thing. And this is what I got out of her because she was actually interested. It was something that she had fun talking about. And let's see if I can read it while it's held up. It says, when I am big, I will be a baker. I like to be a baker because I will make apple pies. And I have my bakery. And what does it say? Oh, it says, now we are going to talk about people. Mommy, daddy, grandma, granddaddy, Aunt Pat is walking to my Miss Bakery because she wants to name her bakery Miss Bakery. So she was able to produce a whole lot more writing and come up with a nice picture because she was actually interested in what she was writing. That's a big aspect of learning with really small children. They have to actually be having fun. It has to have something to do with something that they're interested in. And you can't really accomplish that without deschooling to learn more about your children and how they learn best. And without you actually trying to make it fun and not focusing so much on what the curriculum says. The curriculum has come up with ideas of things for your children to do without knowing your child specifically. When you focus more on a more tailor-made education, your child will learn so much more and it won't have to be a power struggle in order to get them to produce results like that. I hope that this video was helpful for you. I hope that you avoid some of the mistakes that I made. If you found this homeschool video interesting, then leave some comments. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like, and tell me what other homeschool topics you would like me to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you like, share, and subscribe. And most of all, I hope that you love yourselves. Bye, loves.